So your girlfriend's going to land in a couple of hours now, and she's going to experience, I'm assuming, for the first time, sort of what you experienced when you landed, right? This is her first trip?
This is her first time to Thailand. She's been way more places than I have been, but first time out in Thailand.
Okay. So what was it like when it was your first time when you landed and got off the plane? Was it just, did you feel like it was just tremendous culture shock, or it wasn't as bad as you thought? Or talk a little bit about that.
The culture shock wasn't, that was never that big of a deal. I don't know why it didn't bother me more, but I never found it to be that much of an issue.
Hmm.
I think my biggest concern was, it was my first time in Asia. I had all I had was like a North Face day pack. That was basically the only bag I brought with me, but it had my brand new DSLR, my laptop, my whole life was in this bag.
Hmm.
And so I think I was more afraid of hopping in a random cab that was going to drive me out into the middle of nowhere and take all my stuff and leave me there. But as it turns out, the entire time I've been living here, I actually feel safer in Bangkok than I do in the United States, save for a week where I was dodging bullets during some of the protests. But generally speaking, I feel totally safe, totally at home. And the culture shock, I think it's going to be much more. I think it's going to be much more shocking going back to the United States than it is having come out here.
Oh, it will. I can tell you that for sure. It will.
Yeah.
So describe a little bit about what type of things you do during the day. What's a typical day like for you?
It kind of depends. Right now, I've been working really hard. I'm going to be doing some traveling over the next month. So I've been working really hard to get, some work stuff wrapped up, some personal projects wrapped up. So pretty much, I'll wake up at, 8 in the morning, and I'll pretty much push through and work till 8 or 9 at night. And then, depending on the night, I'll go out with some friends, have some beers, be fun.
Hmm.
One of the things about Bangkok is 24/7, no matter what you want to do, you can pretty much find a way to do it. Bars, there's clubs, there's, food, I mean, you name it. So, there's been times where it's 2 in the morning, we've been, working late. I'll call up, a buddy of mine and be like, hey, let's go grab some shisha or go to a club or do whatever. And so it really depends. When I was first out here, I think for whatever reason, I felt like I had a little bit more free time. Maybe I was just, slacking off and enjoying being in Thailand. But, we used to go wakeboarding out at a lake that's out near here once a week.
Hmm.
I was doing a little bit more traveling. I went down to Krabi and Riley Beach on a couple different trips. And, I'd go to the driving range at one of the golf areas right by my house. So it all kind of depends. I mean, in a lot of ways, I do a lot of the same things I do back home. But lately, for the most part, it's been entirely work focused.
How has the weather been? I know Oregon doesn't have the greatest weather in the world.
It's been about 85 and sunny for about as long as I can remember now.
So it's pretty perfect.
Yeah, maybe a little hot at times. We're starting to get into the rainy season, so we'll get like 3-4 days a week. We'll get torrential downpour for like an hour, and then it'll stop, and an hour later it'll be dry. But generally, the weather's pretty good.
So what would you say is the biggest shock for you about relocating there? What was the thing that you just did not think of?
I think in a lot of ways, the biggest shock was that there was no big shock.
Uh-huh.
I got here and, I met up with Cody McKibben of ThrillingHeroics.com.
Yeah, Cody's great.
Yeah, I'd never met him in person, but immediately, within 4 hours of landing, he was like, hey, me and some friends, we're going to go check out the old Ayutthaya ruins. You should come with us. So I went, hung out with them on my first day. And immediately, it was kind of like I had this built-in circle of friends. And so they helped me find an apartment. And from there, it was easy. I mean, there's a very large expat scene here. And so it's really, if you make any sort of effort at all, it's not tough to get in touch with those type of people. So you've got a big group of people that speak English. They're all doing cool stuff. And so it really makes it a very livable city in terms of that aspect of it. I think if you go to a lot of other Asian cities, you don't see the same expat scene that you see here.
So if I took a cross sampling of your circle of friends and sort of like interviewed them and asked them what they did, what would be the consensus? Is it all internet business type stuff, or is it all just very different?
I think there's 3 different types of people you'll find. I think that there's a third that's all doing internet business type stuff. And, my core group of 3, 4, 5 friends here, they're all working on pumping out projects, all doing some really cool stuff. There's another third that, they've been in Bangkok for a while. Generally, it's an older crowd, 30 through like 55, that actually have jobs here, they have families here, they've been here for a long time, they know the city. And then there's another third that's people that are traveling, people just passing through that, some of them end up staying for a month or 6 months or however long, and some of them are just here periodically as they work their way through Southeast Asia. But I think those are the three main types of people that I interact with usually.
Okay, so let's say someone says, "All right, I'm in. This sounds too good to be true. I want to do it." What would you advise someone who wants to relocate like you did? What would you tell them to do?
Start a blog.
Start a blog.
Number
Why is that?
Absolutely start a blog, because if it wasn't for my blog, I wouldn't be here. That was through all the people that I met. I mean, when I posted my last day on Location 180, I had like half a dozen job offers. I had all sorts of people that were giving me support, giving me options. And by starting the blog, I was getting in touch with all sorts of people that were doing all the stuff I wanted to do that I would have never met had I not actually reached out and found a way to find them and give them a way to find me. And by doing that, I mean, I enabled, this lifestyle. I can't think of a better way to enable this lifestyle other than starting a blog and networking through that.
So this is, I think, a really, really important point. You authentically were willing to be vulnerable and put your life out there and say, this shit has got to stop. I can't do this anymore. I don't like it. Somebody help. And people started responding, everything from people in the States to people in places like Bangkok saying, dude, I did it. You can do it. Just come on out here, give it a shot.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the coolest aspects of my blog that you don't see from very many blogs at all is you see the whole transformation. I've never deleted a post off that blog. So you can go back to May of 2009 and see how completely clueless and unsure of myself and scared I was to quit my job. And then you can see, me going through the evolution of doing that to finally quitting, to moving to Thailand, to, now, running multiple businesses and being able to support myself from wherever I want.
Yeah, it's like a movie. It's weird.
It is. It's a cool evolution. And so I don't know. I think that's a pretty unique thing.
How about the language barrier? Has that been difficult?
There's times where you run into issues with it. Generally, it took me a while to learn all the names of my favorite foods that I'd want to order on the street, and just kind of would have to point awkwardly at whoever was sitting around on the sidewalk.
Right.
But enough people speak English that you can definitely get by. But learning a little bit of Thai definitely will get you a long way. And I've learned some. I probably haven't learned as much as I would have liked. Other people have made a much greater effort, and it's really cool to see them actually have real, meaningful, deep relationships with some of the Thai people. The only like real good Thai friends I have, generally speak pretty good English. And I think that if there was one big regret that I had about being out here, it's that I haven't made more of an effort to learn the language and get in touch with some of the local people.
You've done South America, you've done Europe, now you're doing Asia. Do you feel like out of those three that this is the best for you in terms of living there and economics and people and all that kind of stuff? Or do you feel like I might want to try something new?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I've been here for 6 months, and I will actually be going back to the States for a while at the end of next month as I kind of figure out what I want to do. One of the things I keep telling people is that there's no place I'd rather spend the summer than in Portland, Oregon. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff to do, a lot of cool stuff going on. So I'm going to go back there for a few months and enjoy that, see some friends and family, and then kind of figure out what's next. But, I think I've done the Bangkok thing for a while. I mean, it's great, and I, look forward to, coming back here at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely wouldn't be opposed to living in Rio for a while. I mean, I thought that was an amazing city, and now that I've definitely got, quite a few connections down there, that certainly helps. But my other favorite city that I would love to spend some time in is Nice in France. That whole French Riviera, I mean, I just love that scene. And, judging by some of your videos, you've spent quite a bit more time there than I have. But, I mean, I think probably the best week of my life was in Nice and on the French Riviera.